welcome to another episode of Behind the Mask. I am excited to be back for another episode. We are on episode, I think this is number 5.
This is number 5.
We've done 5. Yeah. Yep. I didn't think we'd even get this far, which is awesome. But
I knew we would get this far. I just didn't think that I was expecting us to have an episode where we had nothing to talk about.
Where it's just like, welcome to Behind the Mask. And yeah. Well, again, welcome to Behind the Mask. I am Eugene, and with me, as always, my co-host, Dennis. How's it going?
Hello.
It's awesome to see you again. You know, it's
absolutely.
It's been a interesting few weeks since the last one that we did.
Yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks. So we've had the Sunshine State event coming up.
It's coming up this weekend.
Yeah, it's coming up this weekend. For those of you listening, it'll be March 30th.
It's April.
April 30th through May 2nd.
Yeah,
through May 2nd. Sorry about that.
Which, if I remember correctly, last time we spoke to B, didn't she say that they were going to field a team out there?
They are. Yeah. They, in fact, for those of you listening who are following B on social media, if not, look her up at B Paxson. She had some video of them out at Highway 1 paintball. They had the Florida field set up for practice. So it was really nice. It looks like the field layout's going to be really good. It's going to make for a lot of exciting games. Thomas Taylor also had some video on his social media as well of them practicing on the field layout up in Oregon. So hopefully we're going to see some great action, some great matches.
Yeah, which we're hopefully we can get Thomas on this show, possibly after Florida, to see how they did. I am going to try my best to watch as much of the tournament as possible, since I do have Go Sport.
Yeah.
You know what? The generous person I am, I will share my account with you, Dennis. Because if I miss it, at least you can catch it. And check out. You can check out a lot of their content, which is actually pretty good. And for those of you out there that have never heard us, we're two old guys that have been playing paintball for, I actually did the math, about 22 years.
Yeah, with like a 10-year gap in there.
With a little gap in the middle. I think it was more of it was only a couple of years for me, because I got back into playing a little bit, and then I stopped, and then I started again. But we've been doing this for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
And, man, I was just on YouTube, and I was working on a little bit of a project, because I do some graphics on the side. And I thought, you know what? I want to watch one of the old paintball videos that's out there. So I was trying to think of the oldest one. And the oldest one that I thought of was Push. Yeah.
Yeah. For everybody listening, do yourselves a favor and Google the movie Push. Not the one with Captain America in it with the psychic powers. This probably one of the defining paintball documentaries. I'm not even going to call it a movie. It is a documentary, because it does go in a lot of the not the history of the sport as much, but more the history of the teams that they're showcasing, the individual players that they're showcasing. You get a feel for what they are about, why they feel so strongly about playing this sport, and what drew them in the first place. It's amazing, though. I mean, some of the footage looks very archaic, because they're playing on fields that by today's standards would be, very...
It's
ancient.
I mean, it is. You're talking about a documentary that was made, and it was the first of them.
Yeah.
It was in 2000 when that thing came out.
Yeah.
And
which doesn't seem like that long ago in terms of, when you put it on the timeline. Yeah, 20 years, but it's in the 2000s. But when you watch it, it's like night and day compared to the way the sport is now. You look at the fields, they're playing literally on fields that the borders are just caution tape. And the bunkers that they're using are basically just big mounds of dirt and sticks and maybe some old wooden spools that large cable was wrapped around or something like that. But
not only that, but it was 10-man.
Exactly. And that was going to be the other thing I was going to mention, is that the format that they're showcasing in the movie is nothing like what you see today.
It is definitely nothing like you see today. And then when you actually look at the markers that they're using, they're cockers.
Yeah.
Cockers and
auto cockers and auto mags.
Yeah, auto mags.
Maybe a couple of early Angel, Bushmasters, or maybe one of the early Angel LCDs.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately those markers are no longer existent, the Angel marker. But
you know what?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Well, it's funny when you mentioned the Angel marker. I actually found out that a buddy of mine is a big collector of Angel markers. I did not know that those things are still, they hold their value like legit. And even some of them have actually increased in value.
Oh, absolutely. For the collectability of them, especially the older models like the Angel LCD, they definitely hold their value.
It's insane. I was completely blown away. He was telling me, "Oh yeah, I just spent $3,300." I was all like, "On what?" And he showed me it was 3 Angel markers, and he's all like, "Yeah, this one's worth $1,500. This one's worth $2,200, and this one's the one that's the rarer of them. It's actually worth $3,000, but I got all 3 of them for $3,300." I was all like, "Holy
Jesus
crap!" And he's got like 40 grand worth of vintage equipment at his house. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, you got to set that up and let me go and like film that, because it's like you got a museum. I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Paintball museum.
Yeah. He's selling sandanas. He's trying to get rid of the sandanas he has, and it's original sandanas. And he's all like, yeah, this one goes for like $150, and somebody offered me $200 for this. I was all like, wow.
Money in the bank, I tell you. Just like with any collectible, obviously, the value is only predicated upon what somebody's worth paying for it. But it blows me away. And I know that there is still a big market for the Sandana gear in general, because, they had Sandana jerseys, they were almost like thick sweatshirts, but Sandana jerseys, Sandana pants, and obviously the headgear and the headbands and stuff like that. I know there's a big market for that, and a lot of people to this day, as you said, pay quite a bit to collect that stuff. So it doesn't surprise me.
It's just crazy, dude. But going back to the push video, they did as you're watching the video, they did a kind of a history even further back. Mm-hmm. And it was talking about the old Ironmen, and seeing even them in the tournaments that they were in. That's even like, holy crap! All they got on is freaking goggles.
Yeah, goggles.
I'm not talking what we call goggles, where it covers the whole face. It literally is just straight goggles around the eyes. If you guys
just around the eyes, you guys
would be like, "What the?" Yeah, that's all they used.
Yeah, back when it was Bob Long's Iron Man.
Yeah. Well, it was still back. It was before they called him Bob Long's Iron Man, because he talks about that in the video where they had the split.
You're right.
They had the split, and there was the Iron Man, and he started his own Bob Long's Iron Man.
His own Bob Long's Iron Man. You're right. You're right. Yes.
Which is crazy. Now, so those of you guys that are listening right now, if you don't know about these paintball videos, because they don't make them anymore. Everything is now streaming, and you'll find like a lot of the content, of course, like I've already said, on Go Sport. It's cool stuff. It's good stuff. They film great. They got a lot of great content, but it's not like what we had. It just feels, I don't know. It feels like ESPN, where we had these DVDs that we would watch and we'd sit around and, it was really cool. But Push is it's a time capsule of seeing what it was, plus all the dudes that were in it.
Yeah, yeah. Legends of the sport in the truest sense of the word, because, a lot of them don't play anymore, but they really paved the way for where the sport is now. It was one of its kind. And even as Eugene said, that even though we're not really seeing a lot of these documentary style movies on the sport anymore, one of the companies that kind of led the way, which was Monkey with a Gun, they're having a little bit of a resurgence. They've got a new social media, new Instagram page, and I think they're going to be jumping back into that market and trying to pick up where they left off. But the format of the documentary itself was really what made it stand out, because again, they chose to highlight the individual teams, individual players, and give you some depth and history to it. But they would also intermingle footage of actual matches, and they had this soundtrack that they added to the movies that, while it was never my taste in music, if I was sitting around and I felt like listening to music, these were not the bands that I would put on. But when coupled with the footage that was in the movie, it just fits so perfect. And it literally created a soundtrack for the sport.
Yeah. And
so you saw a lot of bands that, by today's standards, many of them probably people may not have heard of, but it kind of took that like emo, screamo kind of sound from the early 2000s, and it just fits so well with the footage, with the imagery. And it's funny because you would talk to people at the time, you'd ask them, what's your soundtrack? Because at this point in time, iPods were kind of the thing, and a lot of people had them. So you'd see people walking around in the pits in the area where the players are, mustering with their teams and getting ready for each match and stuff. And you'd see these guys walking around with earbuds in, and they've got something going. And you talk to them and ask them, "What are you listening to?" And sure enough, they're going to rattle off 3 or 4 names of bands that were featured in this movie. And so again, it set the tone for a lot of the other movies that followed it. Sunday Driver, Serial Killers. Yeah, I mean, they kind of all had that same format where they interjected this music that it just fit, and it set the tone, and it was amazing.
Well, with Monkey with the Gun, they actually teamed up with a couple of actual indie record labels, which I actually listened to a lot of their bands. They did. I think it was.
They had a lot of Alkaline Trio. I'm not sure what label they were on, but they featured a lot of Alkaline Trio, and
Vagrant.
I think Vagrant might have been one of them.
Yeah. So
they did have some bands that were on Fat Records, which is a little bit more of a punk label, but yeah.
But it was cool because they held on to that partnership through the rest of their DVDs that they put out. So you're listening to a lot of their a lot of the good bands that they had on those labels were on those DVDs. But you're right. Like a lot of those songs, I was like, I actually was listening to those bands. It wasn't because of the DVDs, but it was bands that I was already listening to. And it was like, man, I totally, I get into it even more because these are bands that I like.
Yeah, exactly.
But with Push, it was, for me, seeing it now, it was a little rough, but I had to set aside the fact that, yes, this is 2000 when they filmed this, and the gameplay is completely different. Obviously, it feels a little bit slower, but they tried to make it feel as fast paced as possible because again, you're dealing with a 10-man format.
Yep.
So it was really crazy, and then just seeing the young guys, God, Todd Martinez, Matty Marshall, Ollie Lang. I think and those guys were
basically kids at the
They
time.
were.
Todd and Ollie, especially, and Maddie was a little bit older, but they were kids at the time. So
Yeah,
it's
crazy. But if you get a chance, go onto YouTube, because it's definitely on YouTube. Look it up. It's about an hour and change long. It's not very long, but it'll give you more of a history of where the paintball, I guess you could say, where it started to go.
The roots of it and the direction it was heading in. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just found out today that, which I already knew, that obviously paintball started back in 1981, and tournaments started not too long after that. Yeah.
It came very quickly after the sport was kind of, I don't want to say legitimized, but for lack of a better term, that's, we'll go with that. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, tournaments started not too long afterwards.
And it was, from what I heard, a 15-man format.
15-man, and it was much more strategic. Like people literally would sit in one spot in a bush and wait for somebody to walk by, that type of thing.
Yeah. And the games were an hour long. I was
sometimes more. Sometimes more.
Oh man, an hour long. I'm like, jeez, that's crazy. But the reason why they broke it down was of the almighty dollar. They figured,
absolutely.
Hey, you know what? We can do a tournament. We can do a 10-man tournament. And that means that there'll be 5 guys from one team and 5 guys from another team. They can get together. We can double the amount of teams that come in. And then somebody had the bright idea to then break it down even more. And they're like, well, if we can do a 5-man tournament, that means that we're even breaking them up even more. And there's more teams coming to these tournaments.
More teams coming in. Exactly.
Insane. But it's, of course, driven by the almighty dollar, as always. But anyways, so you guys get a chance, start off viewing your DVD, go back in your history with Push. That is, I would say, there. Then, what? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to agree with you. I think Push is probably the best jumping off point. And then from there, looking for movies, as I said, like Sunday Driver, Serial Killers. There is a whole series called Jawbreaker that was done by, I think it was Trauma Head Sports did the Jawbreaker series. They're all just, fascinating to watch, for one, because each episode, especially in the Jawbreaker series, they highlight specific players, they highlight specific teams, they talk about the events that were going on at the time of the filming. It's a really nice kind of cross-section of the sport, and you can watch the progression of it, which is a lot of fun, because you see them going from the early kind of woods ball type fields where everything was more tactical and camouflage and playing on dirt fields. And then you start slowly seeing a spattering of these inflatable fields showing up. And then more and more, as even just from year to year, you would see the progression of the tournament style. What at first became known as speedball and then became known as, the tournament side of the sport. You watch it literally grow and become this huge beast by, I'd say within the span of 5 to 6 years, it was night and day from where it was to where it had, become at that point. Yeah. So it's a really, really cool cross section. And again, starting with Push and then slowly working your way into the other videos, you get a really, really cool look into the origin, or not the origins, but early origins of the sport as it is today. Well, and a lot of the big names that shaped where the sport is now.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that, so right after I watched Push, I was still sitting there working away. I moved right into Sunday Driver. If you guys, again, these videos that we're recommending, definitely watch them. I know they're old. You guys are gonna be like, "Oh, this is old stuff," and blah blah blah, whatever. They don't have the markers that we got and all this other stuff. But you know what? That's how they got the freaking skill to be able to do what they're doing to this day is using those old markers. Because you had to, you're shooting a freaking autococker, which is, you'll see them push. You're shooting an autococker, which you're just pulling on that big old trigger, and it's one trigger, one ball. Just pew, pew, pew.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were really good and you had gotten one of the new, what they called the swing frame, which was more in the style of today's marker, it had a larger trigger guard, blade trigger, so you could actually fit 2 fingers inside there. If you got a really good rhythm on those old cockers with the swing frame, you could probably hit 8 balls a second, something like that. But as Eugene said, this is a fully mechanical marker that required a very, at least compared to other markers, had a very heavy trigger pull.
Yeah. So then we fast forward to Sunday Driver. And Sunday Driver for me was like the ultimate paintball video, even though there was more that came afterwards. That speech from Maddie Marshall that started that thing off, every time I hear it, just gets me amped up and I want to get out there and play. Maddie Marshall is definitely a great writer. I can't even talk. My mouth's all, but he is definitely a great writer. And just that speech alone at the beginning of Sunday Driver, it's like, oh, dude, Maddie just captured everything all in that first speech to start it off. And then you move right into the video and, gameplay starts going. And that one highlights more of the young players and how they have moved on. Because, again, you're now seeing, young Maddie, young Todd, young Ollie, young Alex Frazee. And, it's crazy to see them in that video and see how young they are.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because then, after a couple hours of me watching these things, I got to I pulled up an interview that Maddie and Todd did just last year. Uh-huh. And it's like, if I put the picture of them two side by side with the picture of them two from Sunday Driver. Yeah, they, just like you and me, we've all aged.
Oh yeah.
But But that video there, that one's a really good one too.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You've also got LaSoya in it. You got Telford talking. You got Rusty Glaze. You've got
the Glaze brothers, because I think Gator's in there as well. Rusty and Gator both. I think
both of them are in that. But that one we're starting to see more of and we're seeing an emergence of Dynasty.
Yes. Yeah. Before Dynasty became the powerhouse that they are right now. Yeah. They were very good even then.
They were.
But before they were the powerhouse team that they are now. Yeah. You get to see an early glimpse at them. And, at that time, the Iron Men were probably the premier team. And you get to see a lot of the Iron Man as well. Teams that don't exist anymore that, kind of, was a little bit of a dagger in my heart when I found out that Trauma doesn't exist anymore. For some reason, I just glommed onto the Baltimore Trauma. They were really, really cool. They shot the early Matrix markers that took the game by storm. There was Bad Company that when they first came out, they were strictly a team that shot spiders. And for those of you listening, the spider marker, I think Kingman still exists. I don't know if they're still producing paintball markers or not. They may just be doing aftermarket products and stuff, but I know that company also did make other things. They made performance parts for cars and stuff like that. But at any rate, this team shot exclusively spider markers, and the spider marker a lot of people kind of slept on because they said, well, it's just not very good. It's primarily considered an entry level marker, essentially, what you could get for a couple $100, and it was not super accurate, not super efficient on air, and just couldn't compete with some of the better guns, even in the mechanical age. But they were one of the first marker companies to introduce a electronic marker.
And horrible.
Huh?
It was still horrible.
Hey, the Electro Spiders were great. That was one of my first. That was one of the first markers I ever owned myself.
Do you remember the Spider tournament that we did?
Yes.
And talk about a horrible electronic gun.
Those weren't bad. They weren't bad guns. They just had to be heavily modified.
Oh yeah, it's like right out of the, yeah. It wasn't a bad gun, but you just need to spend a couple $100 more to get it to where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, you had to use a better barrel, and a lot of players would take those spiders and rip all the internals out and put internals from a different marker in there and put aftermarket boards in there, but they were okay.
Oh God, that was yeah. So if you guys want to know about a tournament that Spider did, and it was strictly you had to use the spider markers.
Yeah, the Spider Cup is what it was called, the Spider Cup.
And they gave away 3 Hummers to the team.
Oh, that's right, they did.
Yeah, I could not believe that they were able to pull that off somehow to get 3 Hummers.
It doesn't surprise me because the parent company, Kingman, as I was telling the listeners just a second ago, I mean, they made more than just paintball equipment. They also made aftermarket car parts. They had a division of the company, I think, that did like electronic paraphernalia, like CPUs and sound cards and stuff like that for computers. I mean, they made so much stuff. So money wasn't an issue. The thing that surprised me was that they, for as big a name as they were, and they were a very big name, as I said, Spider was very well known, even though they were not represented in the higher tiers of the sport. Excuse me. They were very well known. The company had a lot of financial backing, and so they were one of the more higher tier sponsors for a lot of the major professional tournament circuits and stuff like that. But the thing that surprised me was this is their own proprietary tournament series. They were 3-man. Mm-hmm. And as Eugene said, you could only shoot their guns. So that being said, the top prize being 3 Hummers was a little bit of a head scratcher. Yeah. I mean, it definitely separated the guys the weekend warriors from the ones who could go out and actually hang with any marker, the guys who really trained for the sport, who really, really knew how to play the angles, so to speak.
It was definitely an interesting tournament.
I had a lot of fun in it, though. I mean, that was one of the few tournaments where I myself got a flag hang. And being a back player, that doesn't happen very often.
That's right. You did. It was a lot of fun. Doing a 3-man tournament is definitely interesting. And I've noticed a lot more of those that are starting to come out. Yeah. Yeah. So, there's been a kind of a resurgence in the smaller format, the 3-man format. There's actually, I could swear that I've seen somewhere there's going to be some more on the local level 5-man tournaments as well, but not in the X-Ball format. No. X-Ball is just too expensive to play outside of the NXL. There's just no way to be able to do that because, I mean, think about it. The amount of paint that you're throwing.
Yeah, exactly.
One game.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at some of the teams that are playing that format, the Snake players alone are carrying 7 to 10 pods.
Yeah.
And the back players are carrying upwards of 13. Yeah. Something like that.
Which is funny that taking it back to Sunny Driver, I know that's one thing that I noticed was the packs they were wearing. And I saw, I don't know who it was that dove into a Snake but he had literally a 3-pack on. It was
I remember now.
It was just 3 pods.
Yeah, it was just 3 pods. Yeah, I'm picturing it in my mind, but I don't recall the player.
I don't remember, but the pod packs have definitely come a long way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just goes kind of doubling back onto that same point of the evolution of the sport itself. When Eugene and I were actively in the tournament circuit, depending on where you played on the field, predicated how much paint you were carrying. And your front players, your snake players tended to only carry maybe 5 pods because they needed to be light and small, and they needed to be able to get into their spots quick. And they weren't laning. They weren't just raining paint on the opposing team. They were trying to get into those little nooks and crannies and pull run-throughs and bunker moves and stuff like that. Your mid player would carry maybe 7 pods or something like that. Your back guys were carrying like 10. But we're also talking about it at a time when, the rate of fire for the MPPL was semi only, but it was capped at, I think, 15 balls a second or something like that.
I thought it was a little higher than that.
It may have been. Oh, no, I take that back. For the MPPL at the time, as long as your gun was a true semi, so 1 trigger pull, 1 shot, you could fire as fast as you were capable of firing. And now some of the markers could easily go well over 20 balls per second. In some cases, guys who really practiced at it could get it up to like 23 to 25 balls per second, which is fast.
It's insane.
I mean, it's crazy fast. And a lot of the time that was your back players, because that was their job, was to lane and just lay down a paint, literally spray and pray in some cases, but it was to provide cover for the front and mid players to advance up the field. And then with the advent of X-ball format, they allowed in what was called the PSP at the time. They allowed ramping up to 15 balls per second. And now it's capped at, I think, 10.3 or something like that. So we're talking about a time when paint was literally flying constantly. And so, like I say, the amount of paint you carried walking onto the field was determined by where on the field you started out at. And so, yeah, like Eugene said, some of these early movies, these guys are only carrying maybe 3 pods of paint. And the whole point being is that at that time, it was much more strategic, and you did not have the faster pace where the guys trying to do these run throughs. They were literally crawling into these little spots and then poke out in 1 or 2 shots trying to pick somebody off. So, it's just been a really kind of a fun trip down, what is that, nostalgia lane, I guess you could say.
Memory lane.
Memory lane. Thank you. Looking at where we were as opposed to where we are now. And it's kind of bittersweet for me, because I think about it and I'm like, the good old days. There's just nothing like, that's where the old man in me starts to come out.
Yeah. And, seeing even in these videos, seeing the camaraderie between not only the teams themselves, but like the players within a team, amongst players in general from team to team. You start off the game and these guys are talking crap and like, oh, blah, blah, whatever, And then when it's over, they all go to whatever bar is around there or wherever it is or whatever after party. And they're all there together.
Exactly.
Chilling. And even when I remember us just being in the pits and walking through the back area, and it was still like chill. Everyone was with each other. And something that I was talking to, I was talking to B, and seeing where paintball players are now, and we've always had, to be able to play this sport, you got to have that alpha mentality. There's no doubt about it.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, a little
it's
bit.
a very aggressive sport. And seeing where it is now, and these kids have now taken it to a step further and have now got this. It's no longer a family; it's now just ego driven, and it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's kind of sad.
It is. It is. And we started to see the early tinges of that when we were still playing, because there was this and I've mentioned this in previous episodes, where there was this mentality called the ag baller, and you were just, dripping with attitude, and there was a style to them where they would wear, a handkerchief or something like that around their neck, and it was to encourage things from like bouncing instead of breaking on your neck. Wearing little pieces of flair on you. Like at one point, it became very popular for players to have raccoon tails or fox tails on the back of their mask or on the bottom of their pack. And that's around the time when HK started really coming into prominence with some of their style, and they introduced what are now common styles in the gear today. They were the ones who introduced like the fingerless gloves and the jersey that kind of went over the wrist, with the thumb hole through the cuff of the jersey. Even early on then, they had some of their guys were running the jogger style pants that are pretty much standard nowadays.
They're comfortable.
So yeah. But as you said, you started to see this much more of an ego-driven aspect to the sport, and everybody was out there to try and get into the limelight and try and pull some big move that the whole crowd would just be like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" So, and I get it, because again, when you mix a player base that is anywhere from, preteen to, early 20s, that's a lot of hormones and testosterone in most cases, that's a lot of bravado and swagger that it is very hard to avoid. And so, yeah, you got a lot of players who were trash talking the other team, and they did it on the field, off the field. They did it every chance they got. If somebody put a camera in their face, they went and did it there too, But as time has gone by, some of that bravado and swagger has stayed on, but I'm seeing much more of the camaraderie come back. I was watching some videos the other day of Mark Cresson, who he is HK. He's Mr. H, head of, HK Army, head of the company. He was out with some friends. I think they were doing a private group or something. And he made a mention of that. He said he wanted to give some respect and a shout out to the guys that were reffing that day. And he said, what, these guys don't get a whole lot of credit. They're out here doing pretty much a thankless job, because of course, if something doesn't go your way, the first person you blame is the officials. So, he was like, I just want to give a shout out to these guys. They don't get paid a lot. In some cases, they're literally trading their time as a referee for field time or for, free, to get to play for free at the field or something like that. So in some cases, they're not getting paid. And so he pulls a jersey out of his gear bag that it's a one-off. It's his jersey. They never mass produced it. And he pulls this jersey out of his bag. He signs it and he gives it to one of the referees. And he's like, "Thank you." And so again, you start to see like there really is some camaraderie, and there is respect for the other people in the sport once you're off the field. So it's nice to see that come back, but you're absolutely right. There was so much just that, I shoot suckers and get the F off my field. And, it was pretty bad sometimes, especially with the younger guys. So
I'm guilty of having one of those stickers on my hopper. So
well, the We Kill Suckers, just to clarify, the We Kill Suckers slogan was actually, the company is still around today, a company called Bunker King. They make some great gear, by the way. I've got a pair of their pants and a set of their forearm elbow pads, and they are nice. But Bunker Kings, they've been around for quite some time. And they were started, I think, primarily by one of the players that used to play for a team called Joy Division. They were based out of Sweden. And this guy was, Max Lundqvist, I believe was his name.
Yeah, Max Lundqvist. I know Max.
He was basically a model. Yeah, blonde hair, blue-eyed, chiseled features,
I hated him.
Well, I never met him, so I can't make any kind of,
I hated him because of his looks, but ultimately,
he was super pretty. The dude was pretty.
But the dude was super cool. I will say that he was so chill with us, and would, when we were at HB, one of the tournaments, he was just out there chilling and like talking to everybody. But he had more of the ladies around him because he's just.
Oh, of course, he's a good-looking dude.
I don't like you, but damn it, you're so cool.
Yeah. As I said, I never actually met him myself, but everything that I've ever heard, he was very approachable, very humble. Loved to talk to people about the sport, and he was a very quiet ambassador for the sport as well because of his style. Mm-hmm. He ushered in his trademark style was leopard print, and it kind of became part and parcel of Joy Division. They became very well known for the leopard print. And that was his team. He played for them. But Bunker Kings was a company he started, and it started out as just a clothing company. They made basically like T-shirts and beanies and stuff like that. And their slogan was "We Kill Suckers." So in that sense, that wasn't so much the ego or the bravado, but it was you were repping a brand. And so in my eyes, not to make excuses for anybody, but in my eyes, that kind of gets a pass. But, the ones like, where you could go to some of these kiosks at the mall or something, and you could get transfer decals made. And there was stuff that says like, getting bunkered is like having sex in prison, things like that. It's like, yeah, okay. but people would come out with some of these stickers on their loaders, they put so many stickers across their loaders that even in some cases the referees, you're not walking on the field with that because I can't tell if that's paint or a sticker, but yeah, there was a lot of trash talking in there, that people would they'd have their comments, they'd have their slight digs at other people by way of what they were wearing.
Well, it's funny because after I watched Sunday Driver, here's another one for you guys that definitely got to watch: Serial Killers, which was that was a really, really good one. That was Monkey with a Gun. Yeah. When it came to a lot of the Dirter.
Dirter! I forgot about Dirter.
Dirter was the competition, and I was not impressed with a lot of their DVDs. I actually saw quite a few of them. And
now Dirter did Sunday Drivers, right?
I believe they did Sunday Driver, which I think was about the only one that I liked from there. Let me see. Let's go to the interwebs and see Sunday Driver paintballs. That was by, where is it at? I don't know who it was made by. It's not telling me. I don't think it was Dirter, because I think Dirter came out long after this thing came out. And
I don't remember either. Let's see here.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't Dirter, but I wasn't too impressed with a lot of their DVDs. Their videos were a little bit more, I mean, their sequences with the gameplay was a lot longer, and it just felt dragged on. Like it was just dragging on, and I was just like, ugh.
PSP actually did Sunday Drivers.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the box art for it right now. It's Paintball Sports Presents.
Oh, that's
Sunday
crazy.
Drivers. Division 1 film is what it says.
Well, I mean, seriously, you will find in that DVD, you will see a young, like everybody young. And you're just like, holy crap, all these guys are kids, and they were kids when they started doing it. But you there? Sound like your audio.
I'm here.
Oh, it sounded like your audio was cutting out there. But definitely check out Sunday Driver. And then right after that, I checked out, like I said, Serial Killers.
Yeah, Serial Killers was Monkey with a Gun.
Yeah, Monkey with the Gun.
Yeah.
And that one, now we're seeing like all those guys that you saw in Sunday Driver, a lot of them are now older and they're in this video. And now you've got, you still got Maddie Marshall, who's rocking a WGP Carnivore, which if you guys don't know what that is, it is the electronic version of an autococker.
Yep.
And when I was like, wanting to get into a higher end gun, I was like, oh my God, Maddie's using that. I want one of those.
Yeah.
I wanted one so bad and I never got one. I'm pretty sad. I wish I could have gotten one. But, if anybody's out there that still has a Carnivore and wants to toss it my way, I'll take that thing and rock that out on the field. But
yeah,
you've got Maddie's in it. Chris Lasoya, which in Sunday Driver, there is an awesome moment with Chris to show it's kind of a testament of his character and how he was. He took a picture with some British people that were like, oh, you're a paintballer. He's all like, yeah. And he was showing the kids, letting them check out the paintballs that he had in his hopper and stuff, and took a picture with them. And then as they walked away, he's all like, they had no idea who I was. And he just laughed about it. But he took that short moment to just talk to these kids and show these people, what it is. Because obviously these people had never seen it and they just happened to be there for this tournament and saw it. And it was cool. But you definitely had him, you had Rocky
Cagnoni.
No, yep. It wasn't Cagnoni. Cagnoni was in
Rocky Knuth.
Yeah, Rocky Knuth.
Yeah, Naughty Dogs. Yep. Naughty Dogs.
You have Ollie Lang, who was in it. You had
Greenspan was in that as well.
Oh, that's right, Ryan Greenspan. Yeah, that DVD is a great one to see a lot of these guys, and that's all it was a showcase of these individual players that have made their way up, and it's an awesome DVD. And now you're seeing they're moving we're into the 5-man format, and we're seeing MPPL play, and I think there was a little bit of PSP in there thrown in there too. But that's a great one to see, to just, now you're seeing the more modern stuff, and you're seeing more of the modern guns that they're using. And I think it was like the Carnivore, the Timmies, the Shockers were being used in them.
The early Shockers, not the SFT, the shoebox Shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the early Matrix as well.
So it's another great video to see just how much it's progressed from 2000 with Push to Serial Killer, which was in 2000 and I think it was like 2007 when that came out. I think that's what it was. But it's crazy to see that in that span of 7 years, 7 to less than 10 years, just the progression of markers and gameplay and even equipment that they were just wearing.
Yep.
It's crazy. And then the next one I watched, because I was on a roll, I was going to watch as many as I could because I'm up all night anyways. So I might as well watch something, was Excessive's DVD.
Oh, yeah. See, now we're starting to get into some of my favorites.
Yes. That one was a great. Oh, wait, but oh my God, how could I have forgotten? The very end speech, A Sunday Driver, was just as good as the very first speech, A Sunday Driver. I'm telling you, Maddie's a freaking, he's amazing with the pen.
Yep.
And just how he delivered it as, the voiceover for that. And again, it's an old DVD now I'm just going to say video. It's an old video, but it still to this day gives me just like chills in the back of my neck and makes me want to just get out there and just get on the field and play. And even now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, those are. It's like I got to listen to it just to get myself inspired again. But
yeah, exactly.
Now, like I said, now we're going to move into Excessive's video. Now, this was a documentary made by, I think it was Monkey Butt with a Gun again.
Possibly.
But this was a little bit different. This was a documentary about the building of the team Excessive. And you see from the very beginning, they documented the whole thing from the start to the end of their first year. And you're seeing Rich pull together a team of players from like all different teams. But you see Rich Telford, Matty Marshall, Thomas Taylor,
Nikki Cuba,
and oh God, Eborn.
Pete Ustig.
Yeah,
they brought him over from New York Extreme.
He started the team, but then he kind of left it towards the end. But you've got so many guys, and it was like they didn't hold back. They just showed everything that went on with the team through the whole year. Even down to guys complaining to the camera and stuff like that, but they pulled it together and continued on. Excessive, as we saw after that first year, was a team to be reckoned with because they were the ones that were trading off between the top three, Iron Man, Dynasty, and them. It was always those three.
Yep.
Somewhere in the top. And that movie, that actually premiered, which was really cool, premiered at Huntington Beach, MPPL. I can't remember what year it is now.
2011. No, not 2011. Sorry, 2004.
That was 2004?
Yeah, it's 2000. No, wait.
No way. No.
No, 06. Sorry, 06.
Oh my God. I was going to be like, holy crap. But so what was the name? What was the whole name of that one? That was Excessive's. I have it right here. I should have had this already up. Heroes for a Day, the Excessive story. That's what it was called.
Yes.
And it was Monkey with the Gun.
Heroes for a Day. Yes.
But the cool thing was they did it. They gave it a legitimate premiere at the MPPL. And it was at the movie theater right there in downtown Huntington Beach that they premiered it. That was the coolest thing in the world, to have a freaking paintball video or paintball movie up on the big screen.
Yep. And if you go onto YouTube and just type in Heroes for a Day, the movie is on there. I'm looking at it right now. 2 hours, 21 minutes.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube as we speak.
It is another great DVD. I miss those videos. And yes, you can go on to Go Sports, and yes, you can see a lot of the content that they have, which I'm not knocking anything that they did or that they do on there. I'm not knocking anything that Maddie works on because he does a lot of that stuff on there. But I do miss those DVDs. I miss those things big time.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it was kind of a rotation. You would, for the span of a week or two, you'd watch Serial Killers, and then you'd watch Heroes for a Day, and then you'd watch Push, and you'd watch Sunday Drivers, and then maybe you'd pop in one of the Trauma Heads videos, or you'd put in a Jawbreaker video.
Yep.
And it went into like heavy rotation. Heroes for a Day was the doo-doo, you know.
It definitely was. And then, I mean, as you go on to YouTube and you could type in paintball DVDs or paintball videos, and you'll see a lot of stuff that came after that. And, you know, they're still all pretty good. But those, was it 1, 2, 3, those 4, right? Push, Sunny Driver, Serial Killers, and Heroes for a Day. Yeah. I think those 4 are the ones that stand out the most to me.
They do, because those are the true movie documentary. The other ones, like I say, the Jawbreaker series and Trauma Head, they did individual DVDs that just highlighted specific events, and then they would just talk to the teams at the events, and then they'd have like a little review on, oh, this is the hot new marker that's out right now. So yeah, those 4 were the actual like movies, the documentaries, and those are the ones that really inspired people. Yeah.
So if you guys are new to the sport, which I don't know if you're new to the sport and you're listening to us, that's actually pretty cool. But
absolutely. Quick shout out to all of our new subscribers on YouTube and Instagram as well. We really, really appreciate the support, and we look forward to, you know, talking with you guys. Hopefully if you see us at the field, you know, hit us up by all means. We'll definitely share our time with you.
Yeah. I'll try to throw on my old jersey, see if it still fits. But you'll see the big old behind the mask logo on my chest and on my back. But definitely a shout out to all you guys. And I'm blown away that compared to other guys out there, you know, like Marcelo, who's got like thousands of people following him.
Yeah, Marcelo and Tyler with their podcast.
Yeah.
And I think Maddie's got a podcast as well. Maybe not quite as prolific, but
you actually used to have it. I haven't seen any new posts on that because I think he's now just so busy with Go Sports. Mm-hmm. He hasn't done anything. But, you know, these guys are putting out awesome content. You know, of course you want to listen to those guys more than you want to listen to 2 old guys that, you know, never was. But we love the sport. I mean, we're that passionate about that like Dennis said at the beginning of this thing, because I said I didn't think we were going to make it this far. And he said he thought we'd make it this far, but have nothing to talk about. And here we are still talking about paintball because there is so much that people have forgotten about or don't know about. And if you guys really get into the sport, that's the way to see your, God, I hate to say it this way, but your heritage of the sport. I mean, that's just what it is.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So, I mean, you could, if you can't hear the passion in my voice, and wow, I guess I'm not doing it right, but this is definitely something that I love. It's the moment I picked up the marker, the moment I popped off that first ball, it was like I was hooked. I was hooked to this sport. And then as I kept playing and found out there's tournaments, it's like, there's tournaments? I didn't know there was tournaments. And I was so like I wanted to get a team together so bad, and I did pull a team together, and we were so bad. But in doing that led me to Keebler, and Keebler led me to everything that I did in paintball from that point on.
Yep.
You know, and you guys may not know who I am, which is fine with me. I don't care. But I did a lot with this industry, and I want to, both me and Dennis, us doing this, we want to
kind of give back a little bit.
Yeah, and push this sport that almost died out.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying because of this stupid, you know, fake flu. But before that, it was dying out because
of the economy.
Yeah, the economy was going down, and you know, people couldn't afford the $1,400 guns. Now that Papa Trump gave everybody, $1,400, $1,400 guns. And, now everybody's starting to get back into it. And we're seeing like we had to take a step back from where we had gotten to step back to mechanical guns, because it's much more affordable to run a mechanical gun than our electronics, because we're throwing less paint. But it's fun. It's still fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so it's just, taking a walk down memory lane and watching those DVDs, or I'm sorry, again, videos, because they're just on YouTube, was definitely it was actually really cool. It took me back. It definitely took me back, because I remember when I first bought the Excessive Heroes for a Day DVD, I took it home and I was like, I literally bought pizza and I sat down and I threw that DVD on and I watched it. And there I am eating pizza. Yeah, I was by myself, but I don't care. I was excited. I was like a little kid.
Yeah.
So, oh man, it's definitely, like I said, you guys get a chance, definitely watch it. But I think, how long have we been on? We've just been rambling on this one. We can keep rambling on about this stuff and talking more about this. If you guys are still listening to this, then thank you for sticking with
Kudos to you. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Because we didn't really talk much except ramble on about history of this sport. And, but it's something that like I said, it's kind of has gotten lost. And we want to see people to become knowledgeable again of this. And, hopefully passion is us.
Exactly. And nowhere the sport evolved from kind of get an appreciation for the people that came before them, much like Eugene, I love playing paintball. It's so much fun. It's so addicting. It's literally the only other sport I've ever played in my life. I grew up playing hockey for a number of years, and that's kind of where I was hoping my life was going to lead me, was down the road to becoming a professional hockey player. But, unfortunately born in Southern California, that the chips were against me in the beginning, but it's literally the only other sport I've ever played. And for anyone who knows me on a personal level, I tend to kind of go all in. If there's something that I feel passionate about, I'm going to devote as much of my time and as much of my effort into it, and try and, have as much fun, but also be as successful as possible. And so, so it's a passion for me that I don't think is ever going to go away. This is something that I'm always going to look back on the days when I walked out onto that field and I got shot to hell, and I come off the field covered in welts and cuts and bruises, but there's a smile on my face, and I'm exhausted at the end of the day, but I have so much fun. And that's, I think, what's going to keep me coming back. And that's part of the reason why I always held in the back of my head, when Eugene approached me with the concept of doing this podcast, I immediately was on board, because thinking back on all of the people that we met, all of the places that we went, and all of the matches that we played, you can't help but smile. Everything that when I think back is fond memories. There's nothing negative about it. Even with the politics of a team and everything that we started dealing with, it's still like, I would love to be right back at that moment, and I wouldn't change. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I would change one thing.
What was that?
I would stress that we drilled harder.
Yeah, we should have drilled a lot harder. We probably could have gone a lot further. We probably could have broken away from Keebler and started our own team.
Exactly.
And but just like you said, life happens, things change, and now here we are. So we are going to kind of wrap things up now. And just to let you guys know, we are really working at this point, really working hard at doing a live stream video, and we're going to try to do this probably once a month.
Yeah.
I am literally racking my brains trying to pull together equipment, and it sounds like, if when you go onto YouTube and they're like, oh yeah, simple ways to live stream. If anybody knows who I am, I don't do it simple.
Yeah.
And it's one of my downfalls, but
and to be fair, those videos that say a simple way to do XYZ, they're also telling you that, this is assuming you're starting off with 3 or 4 cameras, mics, booms, proper lighting, a switchboard, operator. It's like,
or even then, it's like these guys that are like in front of their camera and it's all cool background. And they're like, yeah, here's a really inexpensive camera to start with for $800. It's like, yeah, $800 is maybe my budget for the whole thing. And you're telling me that $800 is what I got to spend on one camera? Oh, man. But we are going to be working on that. I'm hoping to get that up really soon. I'm already working on our, I guess we'll call it our studio. We'll call it Behind the Mask Media Studio.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that cleaned up and worked on and built up. We did recently, looks like I've picked up a cameraman that is also probably going to be our little producer of our show, because we do need a producer for the show.
We do.
Anybody else out there that is looking to want to get into media, and is not a flake, let's just put that there, because I've dealt with a lot of flakes in my past when I've dealt with that, but wants to learn how to do media, wants to do, would want to go out and film, even if it's, paintball, being out on the field, documentary style and all that other stuff. I'm going to be doing that. We've already got a couple of events that will be coming up later on down the line. And it looks like BTM is making a comeback. We are definitely starting to make a mark.
Yeah, son.
Yep. So Behind the Mask is coming back, and we're going to start pushing forward. And if you guys have experience with behind the camera, want to learn how to do any of this stuff, definitely hit us up on Instagram, which our Instagram is Behind the Mask Media. And I'll answer any questions you guys put up there. Dennis also will be answering any questions that you guys put up there. We're going to probably be getting our Facebook up very soon. So that'll be another outlet. And when we stream, we're probably going to be streaming on YouTube, of course, doing a live stream, and simultaneously doing it on Facebook. So
yeah.
A lot more stuff that I got to learn. I'm so excited.
Well, the nice thing is that, as time has gone by, these things have become more user friendly. And so we could literally be streaming to YouTube while streaming to Facebook. And, one of us can be monitoring Facebook while we're talking to YouTube and back and forth and whatnot like that. So it's not entirely out of reach.
Yeah. Well, the format that I'm looking at and thinking of doing is I'm wanting to do more of a show type format instead of us just behind microphones in the same area together, just talking into the microphone. Nothing. That's kind of the format that Behind the Bunker, which is our Canadian brothers up north who don't know us but will know us, because I'm sure they'll find out. At some point,
they're going to be like, "Who the hell are these guys?
Who the hell are we? We are two old dudes."
Exactly.
And I started Behind the Mask long before you guys came around, and was doing interviews and all kinds of other stuff. But it was fun. So that's what we're looking to do coming up very soon as I can get all the equipment put together and everything. So that's something to look forward to. And you'll finally get to see these mugs on camera.
Don't get too excited.
Yeah, you might want to tell us, hey, go back onto just strictly audio.
Yeah. I've been told I have a face for radio. So.
Well, that is definitely is coming up. Also, we actually are going to have a special podcast, special interview coming up with a legend in paintball, a legend that hasn't got his dues, which is sad, which actually a lot of people that have put a lot of time, a lot of effort into this sport to grow it, to make it better, to do all these things have not gotten recognized. And I think I want to find those guys and start giving them showing the respect they deserve.
Exactly.
So our next interview.
And this guest will probably be a head scratcher for a lot of people, no matter how long you've been in the sport, because he's practically unknown, but his impact on the sport is extremely wide reaching. So yes. I'm very excited for you guys to hear this. Yeah.
If you guys want to know the name of our next guest, which is, it's actually exciting to be able to have a second guest. Cause our first one was B.
Yep.
She was on and she was great. And a lot of you guys have listened to that, which I'm glad you guys have enjoyed that. And so, but this one was brought to our attention by B herself, because she's like, you guys got to talk to this guy because he is a pioneer in the sport. He was, she was just going on and on. So I was like, okay, we definitely got to have him. But for you guys out there, his name is Steve Davidson. So again, like Dennis said, you guys might not know who he is. Look him up. He's written several books about paintball. They're paintball guides, paintball player guides. The man has, I don't want to go too deep because I want to just wait till we get into that interview and let him dive into it. But he definitely allow the listeners to fully, enjoy his story. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And we're actually going to have as our guest co-host, B said that she would jump on with us. So
that'd be great.
That's going to be cool. It's going to definitely be cool. But now for some shout outs, which this episode, I haven't done it yet, but just ansgear.com. I haven't bought anything from them, but I just want to throw the name out there because hopefully sooner or later they'll hear us and be all like, hey,
they'll hear from us. Exactly.
Yeah, we want to sponsor you guys, hey, you guys sound like you guys are talking about us a lot. Yes, ANS. I will be seeing you very soon because I need to go pick up a new pod pack. So I'll be seeing them in a couple days before I head out to go play this coming weekend. But I also wanted to give a little shout out for something that B is part of. And it's in the works. It's coming down the pipe. But it's the Rocky Mountain Field Series. It's a 3-on-3 series that's happening. If you guys are out in like the Montana, I don't know if this is great. This gets out that far. Not saying that the internet doesn't go out there, but I'm just saying, I don't know if there's any listeners out there.
Our listener base. Yeah.
But it's out in Montana. There should be putting up some stuff. I might be a little bit premature with this, but it was something I was working on for B, but I just want to throw it out there. Get it, start looking for it. It's going to be at three different parks, Mountain Action Paintball, Highway 1 Paintball, TE Paintball, and there's one more which they were going to announce because I did the flyer for them. But we're looking at June 19th, July 10th, and August 28th. These are the dates that they've got up on their flyer. Destiny and HK are the sponsors of this thing. So definitely keep an eye out for this. Look up those events or those fields. They should be getting a post up on their Facebook accounts really soon. And I just want to do that and shout it out there. We're going to put up as soon as they figure out what poster basically they want, we'll put it up on our site also and keep
absolutely
as it comes closer. And that's what we want to do for you guys out there. If you guys are listening, if you're a field, if you're a team, we will definitely give shout outs and promote stuff for you guys. And we're not even looking for really anything in return. Maybe if you're a field, maybe kick us down a little entry for, shout out or something. But
right.
Honestly, we're just out here just to build the sport and want to get it out there and get tournaments going. And again, if you're a team, DM us, let us know who you are and what your little story is, and maybe we can get you guys on one of our podcasts and talk to you guys and talk about whatever you guys are doing. So especially if you guys are doing some sort of like fundraiser for what do you call it? Like a charity. If you guys are connected to a charity.
Yeah, charity events, we're more than happy to shout that out. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if it's a local event, I don't mind getting out there and getting the camera in you guys' face and, doing a little video for you guys on that side too. So,
yep.
Again, you guys want, hit us up. Get on Instagram at Behind the Mask Media. And like we always say at the end of the shows, get out there, play paintball, get to your local fields, give them your money, build this sport, drag out your friends that have never played before. If you have if you're listening to this for the first time and are like kind of interested in playing paintball, get out there, play the sport. You will get hooked. Also, of course, visit your local your local stores, help them out because it's been a rough time. But this is it. This is us. I'm Eugene.
And I'm Dennis.
And this is another Behind the Mask. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.